She had risen to meet him, not concealing her pleasure at seeing him, and in the quiet ease with which she held out her little vigorous hand, introduced him to Vorkov and indicated a red-haired, pretty little girl who was sitting at work, calling her pupil. Levin recognized and liked the manners of a woman of the great world, always self-possessed and natural. "I am delighted, delighted," she repeated, and on her lips these simple words took for Levin's ears a special significance. "I have known you and liked you for a long while, both from your friendship with Stiva and for your wife's sake. I knew her for a very short time, but she left on me the impression of an exquisite flower, simply a flower. And to think she will soon be a mother." She spoke easily and without haste, looking now and then from Levin to her brother, and Levin felt that the impression he was making was good, and he felt immediately at home, simple and happy with her, as though he had known her from childhood. "Ivan Petrovitch and I settled in Alexei's study," she said in answer to Stepan Arkadyevitch's question whether he might smoke, just so as to be able to smoke, and glancing at Levin, instead of asking whether he would smoke, she pulled closer a tortoiseshell cigar case and took a cigarette. "How are you feeling today?" her brother asked her. "Oh, nothing. Nerves, as usual." "Yes, isn't it extraordinarily fine?" said Stepan Arkadyevitch, noticing that Levin was scrutinizing the picture. "I have never seen a better portrait." "And extraordinarily like, isn't it?" said Vorkov. Levin looked from the portrait to the original. A peculiar brilliance lighted up Anna's face when she felt his eyes on her. Levin flushed, and to cover his confusion would have asked whether she had seen Darya Alexandrovna lately, but at that moment Anna spoke. "We were just talking, Ivan Petrovitch and I, of Vashchenkov's last pictures." "Have you seen them?" "Yes, I have seen them," answered Levin. "But, I beg your pardon, I interrupted you, you were saying?" Levin asked if she had seen Dolly lately. "She was here yesterday. She was very indignant with the high school people on Grisha's account. The Latin teacher, it seems, had been unfair to him." "Yes, I have seen his pictures. I didn't care for them very much." Levin went back to the subject she had started. Levin talked now not at all with that purely businesslike attitude to the subject with which he had been talking all the morning. Every word in his conversation with her had a special significance. And talking to her was pleasant, still pleasanter it was to listen to her. Anna talked not merely naturally and cleverly, but cleverly and carelessly, attaching no value to her own ideas and giving great weight to the ideas of the person she was talking to. The conversation turned on the new movement in art, on the new illustrations of the Bible by a French artist. Vorkov attacked the artist for a realism carried to the point of coarseness. Levin said that the French had carried conventionality further than anyone, and that consequently they see a great merit in the return to realism. In the fact of not lying they see poetry. Never had anything clever said by Levin given him so much pleasure as this remark. Anna's face lighted up at once, as at once she appreciated the thought. She laughed. "I laugh," she said, "as one laughs when one sees a very true portrait. What you said so perfectly hits off French art now, painting and literature too, indeed Zola, Daudet. But perhaps it is always so, that men form their conceptions from fictitious, conventional types, and then all the combinaisons made, they are tired of the fictitious figures and begin to invent more natural, true figures." "That's perfectly true," said Vornev. "So you've been at the club," she said to her brother. Yes, this is a woman." Levin thought, forgetting himself and staring persistently at her lovely, mobile face, which at that moment was all at once completely transformed. Levin did not hear what she was talking of as she leaned over to her brother, but he was struck by the change of her expression. Her face, so handsome a moment before in its repose, suddenly wore a look of strange curiosity, anger, and pride. But this lasted only an instant. She dropped her eyelids, as though recollecting something. "Oh, well, but that's of no interest to anyone," she said, and she turned to the English girl. "Please order the tea in the drawing room," she said in English. The girl got up and went out. "Well, how did she get through her examination?" asked Stepan Arkadyevitch. "Splendidly. She's a very gifted child and a sweet character. It will end in your loving her more than your own." There a man speaks. In love there's no more nor less. I love my daughter with one love, and her with another.